Hey, good morning. Thanks to my tech guy, Patrick, who's got me hooked up on Facebook Live this morning. Getting a little more comfortable doing this. Still missing all of you very much. Thank you for your kind words again and your support. I hope you're doing well this Saturday morning, and I hope to offer you a nice slow flow class. Remember, it's always your practice, so if you wanted to move a little faster, you can always do that. Those of you who have been practicing for a long time. And the same is true if you want to slow things down. Maybe you've been practicing for a long time and you don't want to do some of these things. It's always your practice. And this morning, I thought I would just share with you a Sanskrit word. It's called ahimsa. And the word ahimsa roughly translates to do no harm. And I think that at this point where our world is, and the idea of social distancing is that we do no harm. The idea of putting on a mask when we go out, is that we do no harm. And before all of that came about, when we practice yoga, we want to practice with the ability to do no harm. We don't need to push into anything. We don't need to overdo. What we need to do is really be present, right? And accept that wherever it is that we are, this is the moment that we're in, and we may feel like this isn't what we want, but the truth of the matter is this is what we've got. So we will try to practice this morning with the awareness of ahimsa, doing no harm. And maybe if we practice that on the mat, we'll be a little more comfortable practicing that when we come off the mat. So I'd like to start off with a simple breathing practice. Prana is the word breath, if we're throwing out Sanskrit. And it's called Ujjayi breath. And in order to practice Ujjayi breath, you're going to have to fool around a little bit with the tongue in the roof of your mouth. And you'll place your tongue right by your teeth and then slide the tongue back a little bit, and you'll feel the tongue kind of rest on the roof of the mouth. What you'll notice when that happens is that when you take a breath in through your nose, it moves more towards the back of the throat. You'll keep the tongue resting way back on the roof of the mouth as you exhale out through the nose. And you may sort of feel a little bit of a hum in the breath, and that's good. That's just a little bit of heat. Ujjayi breath tends to bring up some heat in the body. And then if it feels good, close your eyes and keep the rhythm going with your breath, that Ujjayi breath. Take your shoulders and gently guide them back so they come over your hips. You'll feel the front of the chest broaden a little bit if you bring the tips of your shoulder blades towards each other on the spine. Turn your palms to face upward and slide your elbows back so that they rest underneath your shoulders. Take your awareness to the heaviness of your hips and gently lift up into your armpits so you feel yourself get taller. And gently guide your ears away from your shoulders. Again, you get a little taller. And keeping the hum of your Ujjayi breath in the back of the throat. You may notice that in order to have found that space in the back of the throat, you tighten the space above your brow. See if you can stay steady with the breath and soften the brow just a little bit. Let yourself be really present here. You're not over-efforting, you're not straining, but you're very aware of where your breath is in your body, in the physical sense, in the emotional sense, in the intellectual sense. enjoying the hum of your breath as you breathe in and equally breathe out. Allowing yourself to come to this moment. Let's bring our hands to heart center and bow our heads to our hearts. And then slowly lift your chin and open your eyes. Good morning again. Float your fingertips down to the earth, gently pushing down into the fingertips. Lift up into the armpits, feel yourself get long, and then turn the palms and float the arms up. And then exhale, release. Inhale, reach the arms up. Good. Exhale, release. One more breath, float the arms up, melt the shoulders away, take a full breath, and feel yourself lengthening up through your fingertips without cramming the shoulders to the ears. And then release your fingers down to the floor and push back into your hips. I have a frog in my throat. Take a full breath in and a full breath out. Feel the shoulders hug onto your back. And then walk your hands back. Good. Walk your hands out to the side. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Stretch over to your left. Inhale, come back. Release your right hand to the floor. Reach your left arm up and overhead. Inhale, come back. Walk your fingertips forward. Push back into your hips. Snuggle your shoulders. Drag the hands back isometrically. Walk your hands back. Take a breath. Reach your arms up and overhead. Drop your right hand. Lean over to your right. Stretch to the left side. Come back. Walk your hands to the left. Stretch to your right. Good. Inhale, come back. Walk the hands forward. Fingertips on the floor. Hug your belly towards your spine. Push your belly button towards the wall behind you so you're rounding into a cat stretch. And then dragging your hands back isometrically, pull your chest forward so you're coming up into a seated cow pose. And then you'll push back into your cat. Through to your cow. Back into your cat. And through to the cow. Good. Walk your hands back. Take your hands out to the side. Push down into your fingertips. Float your right arm up. Good. Now from your belly, twist. Reach your right hand for your left knee. Take your left hand behind your hip. Remember, the left hand isn't dropping to the floor. It's actually lifting up from the floor. So the spine stays long. We'll twist to the left. Any amount. It starts from your belly and works your way up the spine. And then slowly unwind. Twist to your right. Inhale the spine long. Feel your head resting at the top of the spine. Feel your breath soft and steady. And then slowly make your way back to center. One more time, a nice symmetrical, reaching the arms up and overhead and exhaling, releasing. Inhale, arms come up and overhead. Exhale, release. Good. One more time. Arms come up and overhead. Feel yourself get nice and tall. Enjoy that space this morning. Breathing in ahimsa. So we're reaching up, but we're doing it in a way that's kind. Good. Exhale and release. Okay, let's come into tabletop. If you wore socks into your home studio, put them somewhere other than your feet so that you got that nice engagement. And then we'll come into tabletop and put your blanket out to the side somewhere. Remember, in tabletop, we want the wrist creases right underneath the shoulders, and we want the hips right over the knees. So the torso is nice and long. Snuggle the shoulders onto the back. Engage the strength of the core so you're not dumping into your low back. So you found your neutral tabletop, and then as you exhale, begin to push your belly button up towards the ceiling. So when you come into cat stretch, it's super easy to jump into the shoulders first. It's a little more mindful if you can start from the lowest vertebra on the spine
and curl up into your cat. And then drop into your chest and make your way through to cow. And you move back and forth between cat and cow. And remember, we're doing our practice with that awareness of being really present this morning. You can practice ahimsa, or that act of non-harming, by paying attention to where we are and what feels comfortable to us. And you're just moving with the rhythm of your breath, back and forth between your cat and your cow. And if you come along into a certain spot, for me, whenever I come into this one little point at cow, I just want to stay there for a little bit longer. If you find yourself there and you want to stay someplace a little longer, stay there a little longer. All right? Come back to neutral, and then take your knees wide, bring your big toes together, come back into child's pose. The hips are heavy over the heels, the forearms come down. You'll bring your head down to the floor, and you'll settle into child's for just a couple breaths. All right, walk yourself back up into tabletop. Bring your shoulders over your wrist creases. Okay, now come into a cat stretch. Breathe through to your cow. Back to cat. Cow. One more round. Come back into a neutral space. Okay, this one is called doggy hydrant pose. And it's just exactly what it sounds like. You'll take your, let's start with the left knee. You'll take your left knee out to the side. Spread your toes wide. Try and even out your shoulders and your hips. And then release the left knee. And we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Take your right knee out to the side. Release the right knee to the floor. Find balance first, then take the left knee out. Come back. Take the right knee out. Come back. One more round. Take the left knee out, just sort of opening the hips. Maybe you want to make some circles with the left knee. Good. And then bring the knee down. Take the right knee out. Maybe you want to make some circles on the right knee. So for me, I always observe that my left side feels very differently than my right side in my practice. Maybe that's the same for you too. All right, now turn back. Or maybe not, I don't know. If your mat's wide like mine, turn back and face me. You can stay wherever you're comfortable, but I do want you to pad your knees. So it may be that you grab your blanket, or maybe you double your mat over a couple times. We're coming into gatekeeper's pose. So you come up onto your knees to start. Take your fist and bring your fist right to the bone at the base of your spine, right? So that's the sacrum. The elbows point back. You'll gently push the sacrum down towards the floor, and you'll feel your chest lift, all right? So you found that spot, right? You feel your shoulders over your hips here. So try not to throw your hips way forward. Try not to sit back in the hips. Bring your shoulders over your hips. Good, now release your hands down next to your hips. You may want to have your blocks nearby. Actually, have your blocks nearby, please. Okay. Step your right foot out to the side and turn your toes to face forward. All right. Good. So now, most of your weight's over the left leg, your right leg's out to the side. Let's distribute that weight by pushing into the outer edge of the right foot. You feel a little lift in the right thigh, and kind of push your hips back towards the wall behind you. Keeping the hips, pushing back into the hips. Now lift your shoulders and bring them up over your hips. Good. We'll find a little flow here. Float the left arm up and overhead. And spider walk your right fingertips out to the side. Extend through the top of the head. And then inhale and release the left hand back. Good, we'll do that again. Good, come back. Let's do that a third time. Keep pushing into the outer edge of the right foot. Keep extending from the left knee through the left fingertips. Good. Inhale and come back. All right, now let's switch sides. So we'll bring the right knee to the floor. We'll take the left foot out wide. Toes will point forward. My basement studio has this grid pattern. I can see my feet lining up. Maybe you don't have a grid pattern, but if you look down to the middle of your ankle to the second toe, that's what's going to point forward. All right, let's find that stretch on this side. Reach the right arm up, spider walk the left fingertips down, extend long through the top of the head. Inhale and come back. Do it again. And a third time. Reach, 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 reach. Good. All right, bring the left knee back. Remember, we want to stay long through the torso when we do this. We'll take the block and bring it forward on the left side. Take the right leg out to the side. Bring the left hand sort of under the shoulder. All right, right hand's next to the hip. Come onto your fingertips. Good. Take a breath. Reach the right arm up. Extend long from the right foot through the right fingertips. The left elbow can bend a little bit, or you can drop your block a little. Good. Inhale, come back up onto your fingertips. Stretch to your left. Push into the right edge of the foot. Inhale, come back. Good. Third time. Nice. All right. Come all the way up. Let's do it on the opposite side. So you'll place your block so it's handy, so you don't have to go too far, too deep. Remember, we want to practice with that mindfulness of doing no harm. All right, so here we go. We're on the left side now. Left hand comes up or along the left hip. The left leg is straight, not locked. All right, reach the left arm up and overhead. Inhale, come back. Inhale, reach up and overhead. Just use your breath here to guide you. Finding that stretch along the way. Good. All right. You can keep facing forward. I'm going to turn on my mat so you can see. We'll come into a little bit of a back bend. So you'll come up, you're up on your knees. You've got your knees padded. Don't change that. Put your blocks next to your ankles. Take a breath here. Reach your right arm up towards the ceiling. Take your left fist and bring it right into the sacrum again. So you want to reach the tailbone towards the floor, keeping your hips right over your knees. Take a full breath in. Inhale through the right fingertips, lift the heart, and it's kind of any amount. Lift the heart, and it's kind of any amount. Keep your neck long. Keep your breath moving with that ujjayi breath, because as you come back a little bit, you'll start to feel like the breath gets constricted. Keep the breath flowing freely. Those of you who've been practicing a long time may want to reach your right hand for the block. I'm going to keep my right arm lifted for now. And we'll come back up. We'll do the same thing on the opposite side. So you take your right fist, bring it right to your tailbone, lengthen through the spine, reach your left arm up, keep your hips where they are, lift your heart any amount. Keep the breath moving through the back of the throat. Keep the neck long. Don't forget to breathe. So we're coming into half camel here. And again, if you feel like your practice is in a place where you want to take it deeper, you know how to do that. If you're not sure, I'm not watching, and I would just encourage you to do what feels comfortable. And your breath is guiding you. So if you feel like you're holding your breath, you need to let go of any need to achieve something. All right, half camel pose. Come back. Make your way into child's pose again. Knees will come wide. Big toes will kiss together. Your hips will get heavy. And you'll come down into child's pose. Just feel your breath. Nice and steady. Child's pose is one of those built-in resting poses. All right, walk your hands back. And let's meet in a standing pose, Tadasana. So the feet are about hip distance apart. The toes are pointing from the middle of the ankle to the second toe forward. And your feet are about hip distance, right? So hip distance for most people is about 2 fists, okay? Typically we see people do this, where the feet are way wider than the hips, a lot more than we see this. And this is a different kind of practice. So in our Hatha Yoga practice, for now, I'd like you just to bring your feet right underneath your hips, okay? Good, take a breath, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, release your hands to your sides. Inhale, float the arms up. Keep those knees soft. Exhale, release. One more time, float the arms up and overhead. Drop your left hand, stretch to your left. Inhale, come back. Reach your left arm up, drop your right hand, stretch to your right. Good. Inhale, come back. We'll do that 2 more times at your pace. Once you've evened things out, come back to center. Good. Take your hands, rest them right at the tops of your thighs, so your fingertips are pointing down. Go ahead and lift your toes off the floor so that you feel nice and balanced on the 4 corners of your feet. Bend your knees just enough so they're not bent and they're not locked. Good. And then with the toes spread, go ahead and let them surrender back down to the floor, but keep the legs just as strong. So when we come into our half forward fold here, push against your thighs and bring your head forward. Stop when your head is parallel to your hips. As you push the thighs, engage the strength of the core so you feel your low back is supported and you feel your legs are supported. So there's some nice balance there. And then push down into your feet. Reach your arms up and overhead. Soften the shoulders. Exhale your hands to your thighs. Come halfway forward. Extend long. Push down into your feet, reach your arms up and overhead. Exhale, come into that 3rd half forward fold. All right, push down into your feet. Inhale, rise all the way up. You're in that nice Tadasana with the feet about hip distance apart. Good. And then push into your left foot and bring your right knee in front of your right hip. Good. Take a breath. Turn the corners of your mouth up. Yeah, we're doing balance poses. All right, release your right foot. Go ahead and bring your left knee in front of your left hip. Good. All right, here's a clue. Here's a party trick secret. Bring your left foot down. If you're at home, step away from where you are. You can go right next to some sort of wall to do this and put your hand against the wall. You could also put yourself near your wall without actually leaning against the wall, so that if you get that sensation of falling over, you have somewhere to go other than the floor. And of course, if you were in my class, I would tell you, if you fall, don't worry, your mat will catch you. Of course, if you're at home, if you fall, don't worry, nobody's watching, right? Push into your left foot, bring your right knee up, hug your hands around your right knee, lift your right knee up towards your armpit. Good, breathe. Not just in, but also out. Good. Release the right foot, push down into the right foot, bring the left knee up, wrap your hands, hug that left knee in just a little bit. Breathe. Ooh, look at me, I'm cheating. No, you can't cheat in yoga. Flex your toes back towards your knees. Full breath. Breathing in, breathing out. Good. Release the left foot. Take a breath here. Hands to the tops of the thighs. Exhale, hinge at the hips, forward fold. Whatever version of forward fold works for you, as long as you're using the strength of your legs and your core. All right, push into your feet. Come all the way up. Oh, standing wind relieving pose is the name of that one we did. And we're going to take it one step further. So the feet are balanced. Push into your left foot. Bring your right knee up. Hug your hands around your knee. Lift your knee up towards your armpits. Bring your shoulders over your hips. Good. Feel your breath nice and steady. Take the right knee out to the side. Take your left hand to your hip. Good. Maybe you want to float your left arm out to the side. Full breath. Inhale, come back. Release the right knee. We'll do the same thing on the left side. So push into your right knee. By the way, if you're staring at your screen, hoping that I will be balanced, I suggest you find a drishti or a focal point that's not me, because I might not stay balanced. I could easily fall, right? It's like that whole teaching of ahimsa. I might not always do that. I know about it. I'd like to. We all are just trying our best here, right? Good. And if we lose our way, we can always come back to it. Oh, all right. Release the left foot. Okay, ready for down dog? Yay, we can't wait to do down dog. All right, me either. All right, so in downward facing dog, let's start off hands and knees. This is slow flow, right? Walk the knees back so that you come into the shape of a low plank. Good. Now take another breath. Lift your knees up. You're in a plank pose. And then lift your hips up into downward facing dog. Snuggling the shoulders onto the back, steadying the breath. Notice what you notice here. Now, we'll stay nice and balanced by pushing into both hands, lifting the hips up to the ceiling, and then lift your left leg up towards the ceiling. Those of you who would prefer to bring your right knee to the floor, you can do that. Push your left heel to the wall behind you, squaring the hips and shoulders. Now, you'll look to your left hand, and somehow, you're going to get the left foot up to the left hand. I have a student who named that Dragasana. Where is she these days? I haven't seen her in a while. All right, now drop the right knee. Good, Jenny was her name. All right, take a breath. Now this is going to be fun. Walk your left hand to the inside of your left leg. And then heel toe your left leg out to the side. Bring your palms to the floor. Lizard. Good. Full breath in. Full breath out. Take your left hand to your left knee. Your fingertips are pointing down towards the floor. So they're on the inside of the left knee and your fingertips point down. Now push the left palm against the left leg and engage the left leg into the palm. Feel your left shoulder roll over your right. Good. Don't forget to breathe. And we'll release the left hand. Heel toe that left foot back to center. You may feel like you want your blocks here. Walk your blocks back so they come right under your shoulders. Keep your left knee over your hip. Good. Take a breath. Float both arms up and overhead. Feel your shoulders soften. Feel your breath steady. Just a nice low lunge. And then release your hands to the blocks. Walk the blocks forward. Take your left hand into your left hip and roll your left shoulder over your right. You can lower the block or you can take your right hand all the way down to the floor, rolling the left shoulder over the right. Float the left arm up. Good. Exhale. Awesome. Need to make any adjustments? Proud of my students. I know they know how to do that. Take your left knee back to meet your right. Here we are in that low plank and high plank and downward facing dog. Back into that nice resting pose of downward facing dog. Now lift the right leg, three-legged dog. Float the right foot forward, up to the right hand. You can physically drag your right foot forward if you need to. All right? Release that left knee to the floor. Take a breath here. Heel toe your right foot out to the side. Bring your palms to the floor. We'll just hang out here in lizard. Bringing the legs, the heels are hugging in towards each other. Your core is lifting. So although the body may be still, there's a lot of energy going on. All right, take your right hand to the inseam of your right leg, and you'll roll the right shoulder over the left. Push the hand into the knee into the hand, and feel the space of your twist. All right, let's heel toe the right foot back to center. Again, if you'd like to use your blocks, bring the blocks next to your hips, and then rise up. Reach the arms up and overhead. Soften your shoulders. Good, hang in there. Hug the heels towards each other. Hug from the bottom to the top. Hug from the top to the bottom. Hug from side to side. Engage. Now let's release the left hand either to a block or to the floor, and we'll roll the right shoulder over the left and take our heads back. Just breathing and noticing the space. All right, take the right knee back to meet the left. Back into your low plank. Take another breath, lift to your knees, lift your knees up so you're in a plank. Lift up into downward facing dog. Slow flow, bring your knees to the floor. Bring your hips back, child's pose. All right, take advantage of child's pose. Notice how you're physically looking inward. Your thoughts go inward. Practice with that sense of ahimsa. All right. Come back into tabletop. Good. Step your feet back so that you're in the low plank. Curl your toes under. Lift up into child's pose. Lift your left leg, three-legged dog. Spread your toes. Bring the right knee down if that feels more authentic to you. Don't feel like you need to push in any way. All right, bend your left knee. Stack your left hip over your right. Try and keep your arms working at the same kind of intensity. So you're coming into a little doggy twist. And you'll look to the left hand, dragasana. Float the left foot forward. Good, so now you're up on your fingertips. You've got the left knee over the right. Lower the right knee down. Heel toe the left foot out to the side. So I'm sort of taking stepping stones here. So we've done this already. Some of you may want to reach for your blocks and place your elbows on your blocks. Remember, your blocks have different heights. So it could be that you want to use the highest height or your puzzle boxes or your books, right? We're just breathing into the space of the hip opener here. Hold a lot of emotions and a lot of energy in our hips. So when we do our yoga practice, the hip release, hip opening can be really nourishing for us. We sometimes don't even realize that we're holding things. Okay, take the blocks off to the side. Heel toe your left foot back to center. Good. Inhale, bring your hands up to your hips. Take a breath, float the arms up, melt the shoulders away. Okay, take your hands, make some fists, and bring them to your tailbone. Push down on the tailbone so you feel your chest lift up. Hug your elbows towards one another. Ujjayi breath. Take the breath into the back of your throat. And on your inhale, lift the chest. Look down the length of the nose. Keep the neck long. Lift the chest. Lift the chest. Lift the chest. Lift, lift, lift. Good. And then bring the shoulders back over the hips. Release your hands to the floor. Take your left knee back to meet your right. Lift up into plank. Lift back into downward facing dog. Now we'll do the same thing on the opposite side. Lift your right leg. Bend your right knee, stack your right hip over your left, so you're coming into a twist. Feel comfortable bringing your left knee down. If that's what you need, then that's what you need. Non-harming starts with yourself. Float your right foot forward to your right hand. Drag your right foot forward, right? May not make it in one movement, but let's bring that right knee so it's weight bearing over the ankle. The hands are on the inside of the right leg. Heel toe your right foot out to the side, release your left knee. Maybe take your arms down to the blocks or stay lifted, right? I can't possibly know how you feel. If we were at the studio, I would look at your face and get a general idea. But I can't tell from here. So I'm asking you to be really mindful in your pose. Keep the neck nice and soft. Keep your breath steady. All right, let's heel toe the right foot back. Hug in every direction. Float up into your lunge. Low lunge here. And again, those of you who've been practicing for a while and want to challenge yourself, you can lift the left knee, but that's not as the class was built, so I'm not going to lift the left knee. All right? Hands come to the sacrum. Elbows point back. Jill will be here at 5:30. She's doing the challenge class. All right, push down into your tailbone. Lift your heart any amount. So we're offering these classes to keep our community connected. And we know so many of us just need a little bit of yoga in our lives. And we're grateful that you choose to join us. Good. Float the arms up. Hands to the floor. Right knee back to meet the left. Low plank once more. Lift the knees, lift up. Downward facing dog. Take a breath. Lift your left leg. Bend your left knee. Open up the left hip. Now let's find a little more space along the left side of the body. Lift your head up. Look over your right shoulder. Maybe you can see your left foot. Feel that space along the left side of your body. And release the left foot to the floor. Lift the right leg. Bend the right knee. Stack the right hip over the left. Look over your left shoulder. Feel that space along the right side of the body. Release the right knee. Bring both knees wide. Child's pose. Release into your child's pose. Good. Feel your breath. Maybe even hear your breath. It's moving through the back of the throat. All right. Walk your hands back. Let's revisit camel pose. All right. So in camel pose, we did half camel pose earlier. But we've had a little more time to open up the hips and open up the heart. Go ahead and double or triple your mat over. Good. And this time I do want you to have your blocks nearby. Let's remember, we don't need to super stretchy bend into anything in order to enjoy a yoga class, right? All right, the hips are over the knees. The shoulders right now are over the hips. Take a breath and reach your arms up and overhead. Good. Now, release your hands behind your hips and bring them right so that the fists are on the sacrum again. We've done this in variations this morning. So you'll push down into the sacrum and lift your chest, and it's kind of any amount, all right? Pull the sacrum down towards the floor. Lift your chest. Take the breath to the back of the throat. So you should be able to breathe as you do this. If you're cutting off your breath, bring your head up a little, all right? Now, lift your chest a little bit more. Keep your sacrum where it is. Lift your chest a little bit more. Keep your chin so it's not lifting up, right? So we're lifting the chest, not the chin. Lift your chest a little bit more. Keep the tailbone reaching down. Lift your chest a little bit more. Some of you may be able to reach for the blocks behind you. Of course, I'm not there to witness, but I will tell you that if you drop your hips down in order to touch the blocks, that's not camel pose. Inhale and come all the way up. Whew. That one gets you a little sweaty, doesn't it? All right. Should we try that one again? Why not? All right. Bring your fist to your sacrum. Hug your legs together like you're squeezing into a block. And then as you lift your heart, begin to reach back behind you with your shoulders, but keep the hips right over the knees. So I much prefer you come into a gentle back bend than you cram into your low back. The fist on the sacrum is to keep the low back long. The breath in the back of the throat is to keep the neck free. No harm. Do no harm here, right? Inhale. Oh, and come all the way up. Good. All righty. This is exciting because you know I don't bring you down onto your backs unless I really mean it. So come on down to your backs. All the way to your backs. Hug your knees into your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. Bring your knees down towards your armpits. Rocking and noticing what that feels like. Then push your knees into your hands with your knees wide still here. Rock from side to side. So we've done that nice hip opening. When we do hip openers, back bends become more accessible, which is why we started with a half camel pose, a back bend, and then we brought in the full camel pose more towards the end. And of course, we've done some hip openings, so let's do another back bend. Have your block nearby. Oops. Have your block nearby. Tuck your shoulders underneath your chest. We're getting ready for bridge pose. Now, just to relieve the low back in case you weren't entirely using your core, push your belly towards the floor and then lift and find the natural curve of the low back. Exhale, push the belly towards the floor. Inhale, find the arch in the low back. And once more, push your belly towards the floor. Come back to that neutral space. Now we're ready for bridge. Tuck your shoulders under your chest. Feel your feet, they're about hip distance apart. They're on the floor. And the back of your head is resting comfortably on the floor. No strain at all in the neck. So, you could put your hand underneath your neck. It's not touching the floor or really anywhere near the floor. All right. As you push into the foundation of the feet, the shoulders, the back of the head, lift your hips off the floor, grab that block and place it at its lowest height, bring it right underneath your sacrum, that spot we've been sort of focusing on with our fists. This time the blocks will help us find that space. So we're resting now in bridge pose. The hips are heavy on the block, but the knees are actively reaching towards the front, and the heart is actively reaching towards the back. So again, we're in that nice energetic back bend. It's Saturday morning. I'm sure you have lots of things around your house that maybe you want to do that you haven't gotten to yet. Or maybe you're reading a really good book or watching something on TV. It's a beautiful day here in Ohio, so go for a walk in your neighborhood. Just take your arms wide enough. Don't go too close. And we're just breathing into the shape of our bridge pose. Push into the foundation again, the feet, the shoulders, the back of the head. Lift your hips off the block. Bring your hips all the way down to the floor. Hug your right knee in towards the right armpit. Release the right foot. Hug your left knee in towards the left armpit. Good. Bring the foot back down. Take a breath. We'll go to the next bus stop. So if the first bus stop was where you wanted to get off, you'll just do the first version, okay? Second version, you'll push into your foundation of feet, shoulders, back of the head. Lift the hips up. Take a breath. Take your block, turn it so that it's at its middle height, and bring the sacrum to rest on the block. The knees will reach forward. The heart reaches back. Keep tucking the shoulders under the chest. And notice here what you're noticing. Can you soften your face a little bit? Can you strengthen the legs? So engage the strength of the legs. Don't let the block do all the heavy lifting here. Let your full torso lift up into this nice back bend. If you're going to be a yoga nerd like I sometimes tend to be, think about this shape. It's very similar to doing camel pose if you thought about that. Feel your breath. Right, lift your hips up. Take the block off to the side. Bring your hips all the way down to the floor. Hug your right knee in towards your right armpit. If your low back doesn't bother you, straighten your left leg and turn your left toes up to the ceiling. Let's just breathe here and notice. And we'll take the left hand onto the right knee. Bring your right hip over your left. Take your right arm out to the side, opening up into a twist. Feel your breath. And then inhale and release. Bring the right foot to the floor. Hug your left knee into your left armpit. Straighten through the right leg if that feels comfortable to you. Good. Full breath in, full breath out. Now placing your right hand on the outside of your left knee, go ahead and find the twist. Opening the left hip over the right. Anchor that left shoulder to the floor and look to your left hand. Breathe into that space along the left side of your body. Inhale and come back to center. Bring your knees into your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. Release your feet to the floor. Walk your feet out to the wide edges of your mat. Let your knees fall in towards one another. Take a breath. Melt your shoulders to the floor. Release your hands out into a T. Let your knees drop to the left. Exhale it out. Inhale, bring your knees back together again. Drop your knees to the right. Feel that space along the left side of your body. Inhale, come back. And begin to move at a pace that feels just right for you. Putting those little pauses in as you reach to the side. Maybe putting a pause in as you bring your knees back together again. The next time your knees drop to the right, let them stay on the right side. Feel the left shoulder anchor you down. And feel the space along the left side of your body. Some of you may want to place your right ankle on top of your left knee and really stretch through the left side. And some people might find that to be too much. And again, please do what's right for you. We're practicing ahimsa. First with ourselves, we get better at it ourselves, and then maybe when we leave the mat, we're better at practicing ahimsa when we're off the mat. All right, inhale and come back to center. And we'll drop the knees over to the left side. We'll find that stretch along the right side of the body, maybe taking the gaze over to the right hand, maybe placing the left ankle to rest on the right knee as we breathe into that length along the right side of the body. Feel yourself winding down. Ideally, in our yoga practice, we settle at the beginning. We begin to warm up the body with our stretches. In the middle, we find some heat. And then we don't just abruptly stop. We cool down slowly. And we'll release and come back to center. Feet on the mat once more. Bring your knees together. Bring your hands to rest on your belly. Take a breath in and let it go. Feel the breath moving all the way down to the base of your belly. You don't have to effort or overthink the breathing. We just want to make sure we notice the breath. All right, bring your knees into your chest. Rock a little bit from side to side. If you're longing for one last hip opener, maybe you want to come into happy baby. If you like just the poor man's massage, then I want you to do the poor man's massage. So as we sequence the class, the final pose is corpse pose. We want to come into a mindful corpse, right? It's the last pose. So it could be that resting on your back is perfect for you. Maybe putting some blankets underneath your knees is what you're longing for. As I start to cool down, I always recognize that I've found some heat. So maybe you would like to grab your socks or your blankets and put them to cover yourselves. Be really mindful as you settle into the shape of your Shavasana. We'll allow the body time to reset. So your Shavasana, whether you do legs up the wall or over a bolster or with a blanket, you want to rest in symmetry. And by that, I mean your right hand is just as heavy on the floor as your left hand. And your palms will face upward. And you'll imagine maybe some pressure from maybe some warm sand or something settling the palms to the floor. And you feel your heels heavy on the floor, maybe a little bit wider than your hips so that your toes can turn out to the side. And you feel the weight of the hips. We did those nice hip openers and back bends. Let your hips be heavy on the floor. Maybe find some length in the neck, bringing the chin so it's perpendicular to the floor. And melt the weight of your shoulders to the floor, surrendering completely into the space of your Shavasana.
Take a breath in. Open your mouth and exhale it out. Take another breath in through the nose. Open your mouth and exhale it out. One more breath in. One more audible exhale out. Begin to gently wiggle your fingers and your toes. And then taking your time, bend your knees and roll and rest on your right side. You can use your arm or maybe your blanket as a pillow. Curl up into that little fetal pose. And feel the breath move freely through the back of your body. All the way down the length of the spine, releasing it completely. Full breath in, full breath out. Taking your time, make your way up into a seated pose. If you're really loving your Shavasana, of course, stay there. You have to know where you have to go this morning. And sitting up tall in your seat, perhaps putting that blanket underneath your hips again. This morning we moved through a fairly energetic practice, and we did some nice hip opening that invites us to release some of the emotions we may be holding on to. And we did some nice back bends this morning. Back bends invite energy, so we'll have a little more energy to move through our day. And we did all of that while practicing ahimsa. The word is spelled A-H-I-M-S-A, ahimsa. Doing no harm. We'll bring our hands to heart center. Again, I am so grateful for my Namaste hometown yoga community. If you don't catch a class live, you can always watch it on the YouTube Namaste Yoga Studio YouTube channel. I'm so grateful to Jolynn and Keith and all the other teachers who have made this a way for us to connect while we are apart. As you move through your day, I wish you peace, I wish you joy, I wish you love. Namaste. Thanks so much.